You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump's State Fair dealt another blow as attendees asked to leave, based on an article by Alexander Willis. July 4th on a boiling planet, the source of the shutdown. The National Mall Fair closed early because Washington hit a dangerous heat emergency, with the heat index projected as high as 113 degrees and record temperatures spreading across the region. Philadelphia canceled its parade. Other towns followed. The immediate cause was weather. The governing cause was the climate system humans have already damaged, which the source correctly ties to fossil fuel pollution. Power is not in the shade tent. The people handing out water, adding cooling buses, and posting heat warnings are managing the fallout, not controlling it. That distinction matters. The institutions with real power are the fossil fuel economy that keeps loading the atmosphere, the political class that keeps protecting it, and the agencies now forced into emergency triage. This is not a case of nature interrupting civic life. It is the bill coming due after decades of deliberate delay. The misdirection is the point. The usual framing turns structural violence into a public safety inconvenience. Stay hydrated. Take breaks. Watch for symptoms. Those are necessary instructions, but they also shrink the problem down to individual behavior, as if the crisis were bad planning rather than a political economy built to normalize planetary damage. The article's strongest fact is the one that should dominate the story. The heat and humidity were described as virtually impossible without fossil fuel pollution. That is not background. That is the headline. Emergency management is not governance. Energy Secretary Chris Wright ordering data centers to switch to backup power is a revealing snapshot of how the state now operates under climate pressure, scramble to preserve capacity, protect air conditioning, and manage scarcity after the system has already been pushed past safe limits. Meanwhile, more than 19,000 Con Edison customers lost power in New York. The public is told to endure, while the institutions that permitted the overload continue as if this is a temporary anomaly instead of a recurring political failure. The politics of historic disruption. Holiday celebrations collapsing under heat should not be treated as a sentimental tragedy. It is a governance failure in plain sight. A country that cannot safely hold a July 4th parade without emergency cooling infrastructure is not facing an isolated weather event. It is living inside the consequences of elite inaction, corporate impunity, and bipartisan cowardice around fossil fuel power. The source gestures at the truth, but the broader political reality is sharper. The people who profited from delay do not have to sweat in the same conditions they imposed. The real lesson. This story is not about summer being hot. It is about who gets to keep making decisions after those decisions make public life more dangerous. The damage is already distributed downward. Outdoor workers, older adults, children, transit users, renters, and anyone at the mercy of a weak grid. That is a pattern. Climate breakdown is not a weather report with political consequences attached. It is political power made physical. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Ross Story for today's article. With the automated voice of Sam, thanks for listening.